Hello again to you doll enthusiasts. In this segment, I'd like to discuss something with you that is kind of important to most doll collectors, which is props for your dolls. This is more specific to furniture props. Depending on the doll owner, it could be for any reason. One's just for utilitarian, just a place to have them sit. Another one could be for a specific setting. Another one's for dressing, and it can go on and on. It was only after I came up with the backstory for some of my guys that I really got involved in searching, looking for, crafting my own props for them instead of just buying things occasionally, things that came along. I actually really got in depth with it. But I'm really happy to have fallen into that need for a certain look, because whenever I get something, acquire something, or make something that fits the look I'm going for, it's very exciting, and you get kind of over enthusiastic about stuff, and this is kind of what this video is about. I'm really excited to go into detail about how these three pieces came about, and pretty much just show and tell, like any doll owner. Just look what I have. Isn't it nice? This first item up is my original attempt at making an apothecary for my guy's backstory. It's not integral to the story he has an apothecary or anything, but it looks really nice, and I, truth be told, always thought they looked pretty cool. I'll show you. So here's my apothecary that I made for my boy, and mostly for that boy right there, Ryan, and his backstory, which also involves one of my dolls, but beside the point. This is mostly made out of balsa wood, which I chose because you can cut it with an X-Acto knife no problem. I wanted something easy. I wasn't ready to use anything like a hardwood or power tools or anything like that. I wanted just to be inside in my craft room creating this. And this part, again, balsa wood, it's just painted in regular acrylic paint. All those glass vials I had a long time collecting and making labels, filling up with a whole bunch of different types of materials, mostly plants and flour or spices. All of them I got everywhere. So if you want to know where they came from, I got them from the Wish app, I got them from Michael's, I got them from, well, other stores like that, Hobby Lobby and such. And some of the stuff I had to make like that scale right there. Yeah, it's a fancy scale. I want to get a real one though. Miniature, of course. Of course, I'll use it for my new apothecary. And the bottom part right here, all this is made out of foam, just painted with brown acrylic paint. That's also balsa wood, real easy to put together. I had only 2 drawers. That's foam inside, so you can see it's foam. There's nothing special about it. I only have 2 drawers. The rest of them are just faces. All of those are just part of it. They're not coming out. And I did like that just in case I want to take some photos. I need a drawer open. There's a book. I made that as well. Plenty of tutorials on that as well from other people that I did use in making that one. So looking back at this apothecary, it looks very interesting. There's a lot, and of course it's my interpretation of what an apothecary is. Looking back at it, I love it, I still do, but it just wasn't quite realistic to me. It wasn't quite well put together. It was rough. It had no real character to it. And as you can see, it's quite small for comparison. Even though it's detailed and I still am happy with it, I am happy with it, I needed something bigger and something more impressive, something more menacing almost. There he is, waving. Also, all the balls are hot glued down. You can imagine the time and pain in the butt it is if I had to put all those in and hope for the best they don't all fall. So here's my apothecary 2.0. It's more closer to what I think of in a real world apothecary. It has a stand on top, drawers on the bottom, all of them work. It has been stained, it has been glazed, it sanded, polished. It took a lot of work, took a lot of effort, and I made plenty of mistakes on it. It might look great to you. I still see some issues, but I'm still very proud to have been able to make this. However, some of this wood is poplar wood, the thin pieces, to which I am allergic to, and I had to take special care to prevent it getting on me. And I was more than happy to stain it and have it glossed or glazed just so it wouldn't be so dusty around me. And it really wrecked my eyes. It still kind of haunts me a little bit. However, it was all worth it to be able to have a fully functioning apothecary drawer, dresser, or what we're going to call it. Again, this is my interpretation. It might not be quite correct, but I'm using it as an apothecary. There's going to be stuff all over it, which I haven't even put in yet because I don't want to hot glue stuff down. So I have to figure out how I'm going to be putting bottles in and out. I might just hot glue everything down to a piece of plastic, if nothing else. My main gripe about this whole thing right here is I had a plan. I had measurements written out and I followed to the best of my ability, and I still wound up messing up royally because all those planks of wood in the middle and between each row I did not take into account when I made the measurements. So the drawers are a little bit off. All of them are made specifically for their cubby hole. This is my favorite drawer because the grain of the wood is sideways compared to all the rest of them. Now, to give you an example, I was talking about it earlier. Here's two drawers from opposite ends. Too short, too tall, or too narrow, or too wide. However you want to look at it, go ahead. They're just not done correctly. Even though on the thing, it doesn't look bad at all, but those are my special drawers. So those two will not fit anywhere else, but some of them in the middle can, but for the most part, not so much. But I put the work into it, so I'll deal. I'm so happy with it. Just put up a few little things just to kind of give an idea what the sizing is, because it is a lot of work putting jars into this thing just to take them back out. So I will be putting in a layer of film or some type of plastic in to make it easier. And just right quick, these are my favorite jars. I learned how to make that. It's with the crackle material. Put a little shoe polish over it, turns glass into crackled porcelain looking stuff. So here's my boy Ryan, just stand up against it, give you a better view of how big this actually is compared to him. Unlike the other one, which is about his size, this one is quite large, quite menacing, and with everything in there, with lighting on it, this is it. This is my last apothecary. I'm happy with it. And the last furniture I have that I want to show you is an antique salesman sample, Georgian style, blah blah blah. I'm not quite sure what it's even called. Some type of desk, a front flip desk. I don't know what it's called, but as you can see, it is quite beautiful. And the detail work on this, the work that they did to make this is superb. I'll show you in a second, but these drawers are put together with a lot of work. They know what they were doing. These were real carpenters. Just amazing work. Just flat out saying like that. And I kind of think it was really interesting that back in the day, of course, they didn't have, advertising power like we do now. They would have to go, in some instances, door to door selling things to people, but they needed a model. That's what these are. And luckily for the BJD community, or, equal size doll collector, these things are about the correct size. They're about 1/3 scale. And this fits my boys amazingly. My 65s don't fit it so well. My 70s do, which I'll show you in a second. Ryan's a 65. He sits pretty well at it, but I'll put this one for a 70. I have more than enough dolls to spread the story around that he has. Now, going back, my apothecary is kind of going to be a big piece of my story that I'm writing for my guys. But this thing is just going to be thrown in there occasionally. Like, they're over there writing something and, you know, like a prescription or something, run off. This was not necessary, but I saw this and I had to have it. I had a reason to buy something like this because of my guys. So I'm using them as an excuse to buy something like this. And it's just, it's sad, but I'm going to use it as an excuse. I need to have it. I've always loved miniatures like this. And what can I say? I couldn't help myself. As well as this chair. This one was bought off of Etsy from a nice lady in Russia. I can't remember her name. I wish I could remember, but I have no links anymore. Now here's just a little view on the inside of these drawers, the bigger ones. They're pretty much just like regular drawers, but due to the fact that they're so small and they fit this thing, everything that the carpenter did for this is just miles apart from what I can do. I mean, those interlocking pieces, way beyond my skill. I wouldn't even try to attempt something like that. And the silver lining of owning 2 out of 3 of these items is they can store stuff on the top shelves, which is what I'm going to be doing with all the props I get for these things, especially the apothecary. That thing can take care of itself, no problem. As for the dresser or the roll door, whatever this thing is called, I'll probably just leave everything up top and just open the bottoms occasionally when story requires it. So I have to finish this video by saying owning BJDs and being able to get stuff like this is nice, but the joy I get out of making things for them, by collecting things, finding the right items, has given me so much satisfaction, especially making the stuff. And I hope it does for you too. Alright, thanks for looking at my video. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.